Taking a look at the aging process and what it takes to live well past 100. Yeah, more people are living well past 100 years old, but is it possible, think about this, to live to be about 150? What would it actually take to make it become a reality?
Dr. Jay Olshansky is a scientist at University of Illinois, Chicago. A long-standing bet he made with a colleague as to whether a human born before 2001 can actually reach the age of 150. And he joins us now. He says don't bet on it. Good morning.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
We appreciate it. So where are you on this bet and the corresponding research?
Well, the bet was made in 2000, and the question is, will anyone alive in the year 2000 be alive in the year 2150? At the time, the world record for human longevity was 122. French woman by the name of Jeanne Calment. No one's come close since then. My colleague and I, who made the bet, have actually doubled it. I'm as confident as ever that I don't think really these human bodies are capable of lasting that long, even if we find a way to slow aging. My colleague firmly believes that it's going to happen. Neither of us are going to be around in 2150 to collect on it, but it'll probably be one of our ancestors.
All right, so you're saying that your colleague believes that it is going to happen. What leads him to believe that it's going to happen? Like, what's going on right now that he's thinking, okay, somebody's going to make it to 2150?
Yeah, so that's the right question to be asking. So what's happening in the world of aging is scientists are on the verge of a breakthrough that's going to allow us to slow the biological process. So however it is that this happens, whether we're taking a pill or a shot to slow down the ticking of our biological clocks, it is likely to happen in our lifetime. You and I will likely be taking one of these interventions that will slow aging and allow us to live healthier longer. He just happens to believe that it's going to achieve, these radical changes. You have to realize going from 122 to 150 is, like traveling to the outer reaches of the solar system. It's just not likely to happen in the real world. But can we make us live healthier longer? Yes. And the aging science that's about to happen is pretty exciting, and all of us will benefit as a result.
Okay, so obviously this is my follow-up question. Realistically, what do you expect the average person to live to if they take this pill, right?
Well, all right, so we don't really know the answer. Keep in mind, when we have an aging intervention that allows us to slow down the process, when somebody says it's going to make us all live to 120 or 150, there's no way to prove that using the tools of science. You have to wait decades and decades, perhaps even a half a century, to know whether or not it works. But it's likely to extend the period of healthy life. And as it turns out, that is the most important attribute that we study in the world of aging, is how healthy we are, not necessarily how long we live.
So the pill or the shot you mentioned, what is in that pill or the shot? Is it plasma? Is it drugs? Like, walk us through that.
So there are lots of pathways that scientists are pursuing. One of them right now that's already entered clinical trials is a compound called metformin, which is currently being used to treat diabetes, but it has side effects. Normally, when you talk about side effects, they're usually negative. But the side effects of metformin and some other potential therapeutic interventions seem to lower the risk of multiple fatal diseases all at once. So imagine taking a medication that lowers your risk of diabetes, but guess what? It also lowers your risk of cardiovascular disease and cancer and Alzheimer's and lots of other things that we don't like as we grow older. And that's the way it's likely to work. There's other interventions that may clear out cells in our body that aren't doing what they're supposed to be doing. These are called senolytic compounds. They have also entered into clinical trials. So this isn't theoretical anymore. This is going to happen in our lifetime. It will be a profound change in public health going forward.
Yeah, I was reading something about this. Is it rapamycin?
Rapamycin.
Okay. And is that kind of like metformin?
Yeah, it's designed to do the same thing in a way. There seem to be some gatekeepers that influence many of the diseases that are associated with growing older. It's associated with insulin and what happens to our bodies as we process it. But yeah, rapamycin is one. There's dozens of others that researchers are pursuing. We don't really know which one is going to work, but the evidence suggests that it will. It's already been done in other species. So we know aging can be slowed. It's likely to happen in us. It's only a matter of time.
At what age would some of these treatments have to start? Like, would they need to start when you're 30 to live to, 120, or can like an 85-year-old be like, hey man, I'm trying to get another 30, 40 years here?
Yeah, so you're actually speaking just like a scientist. So
Yeah.
that's a question to be asking. We don't actually know the answer yet on when these would be introduced. What I can tell you, which is the most promising piece of news that I have, is that these interventions seem to work in older individuals. So there's no reason why, once you've already made it into your 70s, 80s, or 90s, why you cannot benefit from these potential interventions. You probably can. And I would add, by the way, that there are things that you can do today that will improve your health and quality of life going forward. Exercise, of course, being one of the most important that you can do today. It's like an oil, lube, and a filter for your car. You don't have to do it, but it makes your car run better. Exercise makes your body run better.
Right, and waking up at 2 a.m. for work every morning,
That
I'm sure that
really
really
helps
helps,
out,
right?
yeah.
That helps that you'll live longer.
I assume that's what you guys do. So yeah, I'll say, of course, it's helpful as long as you get to bed early. But yeah, no, generally, if I woke up at 2 in the morning, it would be a disaster.
Right.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, sleep is critical.
Just thought I'd throw that in there.
Yeah.
Really, really fascinating research. You can learn more on Dr. Jay Olshansky's website. There's the information right there. And just really fantastic research. Please stay in touch and let us know what you find.
Will do. You'll be the first ones in line to get it.
I appreciate it. Thanks so much, and Merry Christmas.